آية أثرت في حياتك, a verse that had an impact in your life. لا شك.
I hate such questions يا أخي. Why? Because the whole Quran impacts your life.
صحيح.
But when you corner someone with such a question, immediately the first thing that comes to mind is the greatest ayah in the Quran. So how can you go wrong? Ayat al Kursi, without any doubt. Now the second question would most likely be, why?
Why, yes.
Ayat al Kursi is a description of Allah. Full stop. And that is why when a man among the companions used to lead them in prayer, he used to always insert Surah Al-Ikhlas, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, after the surah that he recites, or before it. So his companion said, listen, either recite Al-Ikhlas alone, or the other surah alone. But why combine them every time? He said, this is what I do. This is how I roll. You want me to lead you? This is what I'm going to do. So they went to the Prophet ﷺ and told him about it. So the Prophet said, ﷺ, ask him why. So when they told him, the Prophet is saying, why are you doing this? The man said, it's the description of Allah and I love it.
No.
The Prophet said, your love for it admitted you to Jannah.
No. No.
In another narration, Allah loves you for that. So now, when you come to the greatest ayah, if someone were to ask you, what is the greatest science in this world? Some would say medicine, because it heals people. Others would say engineering, because it fixes things and facilitates the life of others. Maybe someone would say nuclear physics, because it allows us to do things. Nuclear bomb, nuclear energy, and the likes. Scholars say the importance of a science is the subject that it studies. The importance of a science,
The subject that it studies.
it depends on what it studies. So the more what it studies is great, the more the science is. And by far, the greatest of all things to be studied is Allah.
Allah تبارك وتعالى.
And the greatest of all sciences is Tawheed al-Asma'i wa Sifat, to know Allah Azza wa Jal. And once you read Ayat al Kursi, you get to know that clearly. Because it describes Allah. It describes His power, His strength, His ownership of everything in this universe. It describes that He does not need any associate. No one can intercede without His permission. It describes His knowledge that encompasses what was in the past, the present, the future, and what did not happen or is not going to happen in the future, how it would have been if it were to happen.
Allah.
And when you look at it, it blows your mind. So when you ask me about an ayah that has impacted my life, nobody can choose something else, because we recite it religiously after every fard, knowing that the reward is the only thing that prevents you from entering Jannah is dying.
Allah.
If you die, you go to Jannah. Why? Because the Prophet said, whoever recites Ayat al Kursi at the end of every fard salat, nothing is between him and Jannah
Except
dying. When you find that the same question was posed to Ubay ibn Ka'b, may Allah be pleased with him, what is the best ayah in the Quran? He said Ayat al Kursi. The Prophet said to him, لِيَهْنِكَ الْعِلْمِ أَبَا الْمُنذِرِ, may you be happy, congratulations with the knowledge you have.
Allah.
Seal of approval. So Ayat al Kursi is what we miss in our daily lives, in our world of fitna and calamity and tribulation. How? That would be a bit strange to hear such a thing. Excuse me for moving, I'm an old man, I have to keep on adjusting my spine. People come to me. You know, I do counseling sessions. I have to put,
You can do it from Sheikh.
I don't think you can afford it, it's a little bit too expensive. You know, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys, so that's why you have to pay something more, you get gorillas like me. So the issue is, they come and say, Sheikh, my wife is this, my son is that, my daughter is this, we're suffering in our marriage, we do this, my husband watches haram content, my wife does. I say to them, your problem is very simple, but it's very difficult at the same time. When someone comes to you with a headache, you would give them 2 Panadols. 6 hours, it works like a charm. Magic. Jazakallah khair, I'm very glad to know you. After 6 hours, the headache is back. Take 2 Tylenols, 2 Panadols, 2 whatever pain killers you can, for a whole week. Did you benefit that individual?
No.
You have been addressing the symptoms, not the real cause, the illness, the disease. A woman who's not wearing a hijab, that's the symptom, not the disease. A man that smokes or does drugs or drinks alcohol, that's a symptom. A man who does not pray in the masjid, deals with riba, cheats, gets bribes, does so many heinous things. All of these are what? Symptoms, not the real disease. Then what is the real disease? The real disease is not knowing who Allah is, not knowing what iman is. But I pray 5 times a day, Sheikh. I even take Umrah twice a year. I read the Quran. Yeah, but the disease is rooted in your heart. When the Prophet ﷺ became a messenger, he was 40 years of age. And he stayed in Mecca for how long?
After Nubuwah?
After Nubuwah?
13 years.
13 years. Doing what? Teaching Islam. Giving da'wah. Yeah.
Tawheed.
What? Tawheed, I can give you a crash course in Tawheed in 5 minutes. There was no prayer mandated except at the very, very end, after Isra wa Mi'raj. Zakat, fasting, was also mandated in Medina. There was no zakat or fasting. No hajj or umrah, except in Medina. There were no legislations of fiqh, transactions, riba, marriage, divorce, iddah, custody, the whole 9 yards. No prescribed punishments. What was he teaching them? He was cementing their iman, building their tawheed, showing them who Allah is, His beautiful names and attributes. Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, Tawheed of Lordship, Tawheed of Worship. Then he went to the 6 pillars of Iman, who were the messengers, were the scriptures, the angels, the day of judgment, the divine decree, whether good or bad. And then he also spoke to them how to obey him as a messenger, how to love him, how to respect him, how to support him. This annihilates, eradicates, takes away all types of disease and illnesses. And this is what all the du'at are not focusing on. We focus on teaching aqeedah. Good for you. What is the aqeedah when you look at da'is and students of knowledge? It is what is not the Khawarij, what is not the Mu'tazila, what is not the Murji'ah, what is not the Ash'ira, what is not the Maturidiyah, what is not the... Okay, what is your aqeedah? Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. What is it? But it's not Mu'tazila. No, it doesn't work like this. If you don't understand the concept of aqeedah, of iman, you will fail miserably. This is why we're failing miserably. In our families, with our wives, with our children, with our neighbors. They don't know Allah.
We haven't equipped ourselves.
Ask anyone. How many names of Allah do you know? Oh, I know the hadith, 99 names. How many do you memorize? Oops, I wasn't expecting that. 10 to 20 names. Okay, hypothetically, you're right. I'm not going to quote you on that. But of these 10 to 20 names, how many do you know the meaning of? Oops, maybe 1 or 2, 3, maybe max. How do you expect to benefit? We are in the month of Ramadan. How do you expect to benefit from your fasting when you don't know who you're fasting for? When you pray Taraweeh and you complain that, oh, my knees, my back, the Imam, may Allah have mercy on him, may Allah forgive him. Ya Sheikh, he took 15 minutes to pray Taraweeh. And the companions used to recite between 100 and 200 ayahs with sticks to lean on because of the time. And they would finish just before Fajr prayer. What are you talking about? Again, we come back to the sweetness of the Quran, how to find it. And when I say what I'm saying, Akhi, this is theoretical. Not that I am doing this or walking the talk. This is what we're aspiring to reach. May Allah Azza wa Jal makes us among those who reach it.
Ameen. And Allah, the Prophet ﷺ, when he says, وَجُعِلَتْ قُرَّةُ عَيْنِي فِي الصَّلَاةِ.
True. How would it be that when I have problems, when I have debts, when I have issues that bother me, that I go to prayer? I know people, subhanAllah, coming to me in counseling sessions. Sheikh, I'm a practicing Muslim. I pray 5 times a day. I memorize a lot of the Quran. My wife is a niqabi, wearing gloves, and she's well respected in her family. However, we don't have chemistry. And when we fight, Sheikh, I turn to become a different person. I don't know what's happening to me or to her. Sheikh, she manages to get the worst in me. Everyone who sees me said, that's not you. And everyone who sees her, that's not her. This is shaitan. the sad thing is, he says, Sheikh, when I'm in the middle of this perfect storm and I'm so agitated, I'm so disturbed, what do? I said, of course, you go to Salah. He said, no, Sheikh, I go to Netflix. I watch a movie. I listen to songs. As if something in me is telling me, yes, do haram. It's all her fault. And I said, who are you fooling? It's not her fault.
Yourself.
It's you. You're the one who's choosing to disobey Allah and to sin like this. And look how Shaitan is so happy and pleased because he managed to derail you from the straight path of istiqamah into sinning instead of begging Allah for mercy and guidance.
Probably.
So may Allah Azza wa Jal protect us.
I mean.